You know what the going on.
What's going on, my good people? This your boy Lap Up the Entertainer, here to bring you some action between Alabama State University and FAMU. This is going to be interesting, ladies and gentlemen, to see these two heavyweights go at it, man. One thing I would say is that, I can't recall the last time they actually seen each other, so this is going to be interesting to see them two go at it. Okay, number one, I'm very excited to see how this battle turns out. ASU is a hard band to beat. I will say that. ASU is a hard band to beat in general. That's a heavyweight, So, FAMU did surprise me earlier this year. They was able to get the best of Jackson State. I put FAMU over Jackson State in that last battle. So if you want to see what that looks like, please click on that link above. Okay? So, one thing I would say about this battle as well is that, there's no favoritism, and I'm doing an overall grade, okay? So, all these points, grades go into a singular grade, and that helped me determine who was the strongest band, okay? We can't just determine who won based off of field shows or the fifth quarter. Sometimes having a combined total would help me determine who was the strongest band. Now, some bands win, some bands lose. Sometimes it's a tie. But at the end of the day, it's all love here. There's no favoritism. Okay? So, I wanted y'all to understand that thoroughly before we get deep into this battle and y'all won't get in y'all feelings. Okay? Feel free to comment below who you think won the battle. But, again, it's all love. It is all love here. Okay? So, this also goes into my FAMU tier list, or the FAMU tier list, but this also goes into the SWAC tier list. I'm grading all HBCU bands in the SWAC at the moment. So, I just got done with Texas Southerns, so they are officially ranked now. So, now I'm on FAMU. So, I will be having a little bit more FAMU content at the moment. So, you'll be able to see a little bit more from me as far as FAMU. So, all my FAMU subscribers, I appreciate y'all. This is just something for y'all to look at. You know what I'm saying? Something for y'all to look at. So, I'm glad that we here. Okay? So, with that being said, I'm doing enough talk. I did enough talking. Let's look at what we're grading for halftime. Please look to the cards next to me so you know we're grading. For the battle, we're grading entrance, songs, formation, dances, breakdown, overall creativity. Maximum points they can make altogether is 25, okay? With the extra incentive of 5, they can round it up to a possible 30, okay? Now, this also is a little different for FAMU, okay? FAMU does not have any dancers, okay? So, what we'll do, only for FAMU, not for Alabama State, but only for FAMU, is that they will have to make up the difference in the creative department because they don't have any dancers, okay? I used to just give them an exemption and just call it a day, but I realized that that's not fair to other bands as well. So I feel like they have to show their creative edge as far as them getting a securing the field show as far as Wild Moments is concerned, okay? So, that's just how I feel about that, okay? So, FAMU can put on a clinic on that field, so creativity shouldn't be so hard for them, okay? So, but, as far as people be like, oh, well, that's not fair. They shouldn't have that extra creative, but let's look at ASU. They got dancers. It's more to look at. You know what I'm saying? So, dancers do count too, and that's part of the show. If there was no dancers, they'd be doing the same thing that FAMU be doing. So, just wanted to throw that out there as well. Okay? So, y'all know y'all won't have that confusion because y'all be so quick to be like, oh, well, it's this, and the third, and it's not right, and I don't like they dancers and stuff like that. Look, it's all love. Some people look for field shows for certain things, and I'm highlighting both. Okay? So, ain't time for y'all to get in y'all feelings about that. For real, for real. They definitely can, and dancers can do bad, and, that can hurt their grade. Sometimes I've seen bands lose it based off of their dancers alone. Okay? So, it definitely depends on how y'all feel about it, but I'm going to be looking at everything. Okay? Now, my expectations for the field shows. Now, if the band is stationary, I'm expecting the band to sound clean, put together nats hanging over, okay, if the band is stationary, not while they're marching. Formations, I'm looking for 8 to 5 to look together, step offs to look together, and symmetry to look good. Okay, make sure their spacing is right, make sure their lettering is right. Okay, for dancers, since we just talking about Alabama State for that category, I'm expecting their stunts to go well, for them to look clean, for them to not look like they're second guessing out there on the field. Okay, for breakdown, I'm expecting at least 3 breakdown features from both bands. At least 3 breakdown features from both bands. And for the creative department, Alabama State can only qualify for 5. And because FAMU doesn't have any dancers, they qualify for 10. Alright? So, with that being said, I explained it as thoroughly as I could. I explained it as thoroughly as I could. I don't want nobody to be like that later on in the comments, be like, you still showing favoritism and whatnot. I don't want to hear that shit. I don't. I really don't. Alright, so with that being said, let's start with Alabama State since this is FAMU's home.
University, Dr. Whitney Coleman, Dean of the College of Visual and Performing Arts, and Dr. Carly Johnson, Chair of the Department of Music. Tallahassee, Florida, we proudly present to you the Alabama State University Mighty Marching Bands! Live joining for the 2025 season one, the head coaches are Anthony Zombie, Cameron Johnson, Dontrell Hall, and head drum major Nazareth Martin.
That's very clean.
Is the first HBCU marching band to perform in Roseboro Stadium. You see them on ANA's one time. Brad, put your hands together right now for your Alabama State University Mighty Marching Bands. It's halftime fanfare.
Got some small 8 to 5 issues here. But they got a hole in the field. Some more step off issues here. That was nice. Dances, they're really good.
If you're ready to get down with the runners, make some noise! Here we go.
Alabama State. Alrighty, let's give that a grade. So, interesting performance. I enjoyed it for the majority. Very, very strong. Very, very strong performance from them. Okay? So entrance, I'm going to give entrance a 5. Songs a 5. Formations a 3. Dancers a 5. Breakdown a 5. Creativity a 5. Okay? They end up getting out of there with a 28, which is a passing grade, ladies and gentlemen. Not bad at all from Alabama State. The only thing that hurt them in that field show as far as their drill is their step-offs. Okay? It was some minor 8 to 5 issues there. It was also some spacing. Some people was missing. So I think that kind of threw off their drill just a little bit. But more so the step-offs. Okay? A line is a formation. And so when your line look like a snake, that's throwing off the formation. You know what I'm saying? That's the one thing about consistency as far as a line drill. If you start off with a line and then you move into another drill, the lines have to be consistent. And that can throw off a lot of people. So if you're not prepared to step off, it looks bad. Alright, so I took off of that, but for the majority, everything else looked good. You know, they pretty much was kicking ass. So, very entertaining to see from Alabama State. Very, very strong score, you know. Believe it or not, that's a passing grade for me, okay? So, FAMU is going to have to do some good stuff in this field show in order for them to capitalize, okay? So, with that being said, let's get into it. Using paparazzi's field show.
our theme, our halftime Saturday Love.
Very nice. We have some people dragging the thing. What's all the tubers? I love this. Oh yeah, they put a bell in the middle of the field. That's pretty good.
The consistency of 79 years. 1946 to 2025. The drum majors, piccolos, clarinets, saxophones, trumpets, French horns, trombones, euphoniums, tubas, the percussion section, and the flagcore. When you put it all together, it's the movements of experience. With baton in the hands of our director of bands, Dr. Shelby Chipman, one of the biggest songs for 2025. If I say Mariah, and then I say the scientists, what are we talking about?
one.
100. It's time to show them how it's done. Did someone say top of cards?
They definitely got the energy.
Just in case you didn't know, soon it's a party.
They got the energy. I love to see it.
It's time to get toxic. It's time to take Alabama State through there. It's time to take
Ooh, they
them
decent.
through
They
there.
decent hard. BTA. Wow. Wow. That's crazy. That is crazy. Wow. Wow. That was entertaining. Okay? That was very entertaining. Wow. Alrighty. Let's give it a grade. So, entrance is a 5. Songs is a 5. Formations, I'm going to give them a 3. Dancers, I'm going to give them a exemption because they don't have it. Remember, we're not grading their dances because they don't have any. They make up for it in the credit department. Breakdown, they get a 5. A solid 5. In creativity, they get them a 7. Okay? They get a 7. Alrighty. So, let's calculate what they got and I'm going to explain why. Okay? Alrighty. They got them a 25. A 25. So, they missed it by 2 points for a passing grade from me. Okay? And I'm going to explain why. Okay? What hurt them, okay? What hurt them in this field show was their pinwheels, okay? We have some stragglers in the pinwheels, okay? A pinwheel needs to be straight. It is considered a small line, okay? What hurt them the most and which pinwheels and which areas to look at for it was the tubers, okay? The tubers was having a hard time with those pinwheels. You could tell. You could tell that there was some symmetry issues off with it. You could tell that they was not even getting to the line like they needed to in the pinwheels. You could tell. Now, granted, I know tubers are very big, but it does not excuse them for not having a clean pinwheel. And it wasn't just the tubers. It was other sections in the band too when it could have been cleaner. Now, granted, I seen FAMU do phenomenal pinwheels too. But I think because this was early in the season as well, they kind of struggled with that as well. Okay? Now, this brings me up to the creative department. Okay? In the creative department, they had a lot to look at. I just feel like it just needed just a little bit more oomph in the creativity. Just a little bit more. They had a phenomenal disc. I feel like there could have been more moments. Now, they did ring the bell. That was dope as hell. I enjoyed that from them. That was really cool from them making the bell and ringing it. But I felt like it was missing just a little bit more of a creative edge. Now, the breakdown, they got a lot more points for that as well. So, that's what carried them with more creative points was the breakdown. Okay? So I just felt like it was missing just an initial edge in the creative department, and I think they would have been straight. They just needed like 2 more wild moments for me, at least, for them to at least get a passing grade for me. But, that does make a difference in this battle. Okay? It does make a difference in this battle. And I already know it right now. Some of these FAMU fans going to come up in here and be like, how could you? Look, it ain't nothing like that, man. Look, somebody had to give it to y'all raw and uncut. Okay? Somebody has to do it to you. So, I'd rather it be me than somebody else that don't know what the hell they talking about. Okay? Look, I make field shows. And I know what looks right and what looks wrong. Okay? So, I'm just going to put it to you that way. Alright? So, it is what it is on that one. But not bad. Not bad field show. Not a bad field show. Alright? So, current standings. Right now, as we speak, in halftime, I have Alabama State up by 3 points over FAMU. By 3 points. Alabama State is up by 3 points. Okay? That can all change in fifth quarter. However, okay? That can definitely change in fifth quarter. Okay? Fifth quarter matters. This can be a difference maker. Okay? Alabama State has to miss a lot in this battle, okay, in order for FAMU to capitalize on this battle right now, okay? I said this in the beginning, Alabama State's a hard band to knock off, okay? So if you're going to knock them off, it's going to have to be in fifth, okay? It's going to have to be in fifth if you're going to knock them off. It's just going to keep it 100. You're going to have to knock them off in that. All right. So, with that being said, I would like to also extend the invitation for membership program. It's only $2 a month. I grade all field shows from the 90s on up. And if there's any battles or content under the 90s, if it's footage, I will grade it. So if you FAMU alumni and you want to be a part of that and show love to your school and show me what FAMU's capable of back in the day, and let's be cool. There's other perks as well, so please be a part of that. Also, if you're a percussionist, consider being a member as well, because I grade exclusive percussion content on that channel. Okay, so just want to give you a heads up on that as well if you're a percussionist. Okay. Now, also, what I would like to add is if that you want to donate to the channel, you can. All you have to do is just hit thank you tab below. Okay? Thank you tab. All donations will go into me affording YouTube Premium. So, sometimes when I'm reacting, commercials randomly pop up. So, it is what it is when it comes down to that. So, you get what I'm getting at. Okay? So, that's just me. Just keep it 100 with you. But, that's just up to you. But all I'm asking from you is just a simple like and a subscribe. Okay? A simple like and a subscribe. Alrighty, moving on. Now, we're moving on to fifth quarter. Alright? Now, fifth quarter is particular. I don't have too much to look at. I'm not grading every individual section. I'm not doing that. That's too much work. That is entirely too much work to try to do. But what I would say, is that, you can do a whole lot in fifth. Okay, and so I'm looking at some key things. So look to the cards next to me so you know we'll be grading. We're grading sound selection, power, articulation, arrangement, overall cleanness. Maximum points they can make all together is 50. Okay, What I'm looking for these categories for song selection, if the band sounds good, they know how to pick the right tunes to combat against each other. I'm not expecting slow songs. I'm not expecting any marches. You know, let me rephrase that. I'm not expecting any marches or spirit songs. Okay, I'm expecting slow songs, hip hop tunes, current things, even things in the past, but no marches, no spirit songs. If a band plays that, that's going to hurt their grade tremendously. Also know what to pull out depending on the band's response. Okay? Power is self-explanatory. Articulation is self-explanatory. Arrangement is self-explanatory. Now, if it's just a big old loop and it's a simple and fifth, it's very simple. It sounds like something they should play during the football game, then yes, I will dock off of that. Okay? And cleanness is self-explanatory. So, that's my expectations. So, with that being said, we're going to get into the action. Shout out to Paparazzi, Marching 100 Paparazzi for getting the footage. Let's get to it. Alabama State's first. Alabama State, ladies and gentlemen. Give that shit a Ric Flair moment. Woo! Oh, man, that shit was nice. That shit was nice, bruh. Shit was nice, bruh. No complaints at all. That shit was nice. Yes, indeed, Alabama State. They came with that heat, boy. They came with that heat, and I got to give them a little bit of this. That's something on my hidden list as well. So, yes, very nice. Very, very nice. Moving on. All right, FAMU. Bring that heat. FAMU, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very clean sound from FAMU, man. Very clean, man. Like, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. Very nice. Very, very nice. That is, you know, you can tell that they took their time with that, you know. T-T-T-T-T, T-T-T-T-T. You know, you can hear it. You know what I'm saying? It's nice. Very, very clean. Very short phrases like they needed it. They needed to hit those phrases right. They did everything that they needed to do. Very nice. Very, very nice. Moving on. Let's get that a grade. Almost a perfect. Almost a perfect. It's there. It just needs to be rounded off in a couple edges, you know, around there. So, sound selection is 10, power is 10, articulation is 10, arrangement is 10, cleanness is a 9. I could tell that they've been working on that, but I just feel like there are some parts that can be just a tad bit cleaner. Just need to round that sound off just a little bit. Now, I would like to remind y'all this is early in the season as well. So this is an early ASU, early FAMU. Okay? Just to remind you of that. But yes, I feel like they can just slowly, like slightly round off the edges on that. But it was good. Very good. Oh, they're finna bring it back. Bring it back then. FAMU, ladies and gentlemen. FAMU, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. Wow. That was nice. Very clean. Very clean sound. There went Super Saiyan in this thing. Look, man. That's one thing I gotta say about FAMU, man. That's a clean band to go against, and if you ain't clean, you're not gonna survive, bruh. You know, so you know, hey, it's tight. It's tight, bruh. That was nice. That was nice from FAMU. Very good. Moving on. Alright, hype us up then. Alabama State, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. That's crucial. That's crucial. Whew, that was nice. That was nice. No complaints. No complaints at all on that one. Yeah. Moving on. FAMU's response. Alrighty, let's get at a grade. Sound selection's 10, power's 10, articulation's 10, arrangement's 10, cleanness, I'm going to give them a 9. Almost a perfect. It's there, but it's almost there, you know. It's more so with the high brass. There was some people who were just slightly hanging over. Also in the trombone section, that was kind of overextending just a little bit, you know. Now, you know, this is them trying to fight with the power. They still try to find themselves in the power at that piece. But not bad at all, but just it's almost there. Moving on. Alabama State, ladies and gentlemen. Alabama State, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, indeed, bruh. I ain't mad at it at all, bruh. There went Super Saiyan in this thing, bruh. Woo wee. Yeah, man, that's nice. That's nice right there, bruh. That's nice. Moving on. Moving on. all, it was just some parts that could be just spruced up just a little bit. Again, I can tell that this is the beginning of the year. I can. Alright, sound selection is 10, power is 10, articulation is 10, arrange is 10, cleanness is a 9. 49. Almost a perfect. It's more so the parts in the beginning of the arrangement. More so the parts in the beginning. It could just be a little bit tighter. There was some people kind of hanging over. Again, this is a band learning how to control their power. Because you could definitely understand. If you see that Jackson State battle, you can hear a difference. This band versus Jackson State is different. You get what I'm saying? So this is early. You can tell they still trying to get it together, but it's not bad. Still good. Not bad. Still good. Moving on. Oh shit. There was Super Saiyan Blue God in this thing, bruh. Give that shit a Ric Flair moment. Woo! Oh man, that shit was nice. That shit was nice. That was beautiful. It was beautiful. I have one little minor critique. That close to the end, that tuba part, they were kind of doing a little bit too much. But besides that, that was it. That was the only part. Like that shit there. Woo! Boy, that was a crowd pleaser right there, bruh. That was a crowd pleaser, bruh. The delivery on that arrangement was crucial. Like, chef's kiss. Chef's kiss, bruh. Woo! Boy. Moving on.
Tempo! 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 Get that tempo!
get at a grade. Alright. I could tell that he was trying to fade the audio. Paparazzi showing some favoritism in that. But I'm going to tell you what I heard. There was some stuff people hanging over, more so high brass. Okay? It was some parts that can be just a tad bit tighter. Okay? But I heard that audio technique Paparazzi pulled on that one. Alright, song selections 10, powers 10, articulations 9, arrangements 10, cleanness is a 9. So they got them a 48 on that one. Alright. Whew, boy. Alrighty. Okay. Let's do some calculation up so we'll know who won this battle, okay? Who won this battle? Alright, just give me a second. Let me do some adding and some checking here, okay? Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so here's my verdict, ladies and gentlemen. Alabama State was up, and I'm going to give y'all a run through. Okay, Alabama State was up in halftime by 3 points. It was up by 3 points in halftime. Then when we get to fifth quarter, it was tight at first, but then, FAMU started losing a little bit of their stamina close to the end, Alabama State had one hiccup in that second song for me at least, but after that, Alabama State just started staying on that oomph. They kept their foot on their neck, and that's what happened. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's a 6 point difference. Alabama State won this battle. Okay. Now I'm going to say this before y'all shoot the messenger. This is my opinion, so y'all can comment how y'all feel below, okay? But it's all love here. But I have to give this battle to Alabama State, and I'm going to explain why, okay? Alabama State, to me, they had a great field show, number one. Not knocking FAMU. FAMU had a great field show as well.
Victory!
They definitely evenly matched on the field. The only issue is that FAMU had a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? More pinwheel problems. They had the creativity. If they didn't have those pinwheel problems, FAMU would have done phenomenal, and they probably would have either been tied or got the initial edge over Alabama State. Alabama State only had like 2 mistakes, and that was just the step-off issues in their line going into their drill. That was it. So FAMU just needed more creativity in their field show, just a little bit extra oomph. I mean, they get 10 points, so they got 7 out of 10. So that's not bad. They just needed some more that could have helped them out as well. Just want to throw that out there, okay? But that was a 3-point lead for Alabama State, right? Now, when we get to fifth quarter, those two was bumping heads. They was, okay? But Alabama State was the strongest band in fifth, okay? I'm going to tell you something as well. You could tell that both bands are fresh. The only difference maker is that, you can tell what was their stronger songs and what was their weaker songs. Okay, Alabama State, they take that time. FAMU, for me to hear FAMU now is different, but back then they still was trying to find themselves. And some bands have a hard time getting there. Sometimes they there or they trying to get there. So in this battle, Alabama State was there. FAMU was trying to get there later. They started struggling at the end in their book, if you can tell. More so some of their hip-hop songs. More so their their trumpets. Trumpets were kind of struggling a little bit. And some of their upper-lower brass. Okay? So it's more so them. Okay? Now, if I wanted to do some critique for Alabama State, there was just some parts when they was just doing a little bit too much in the power section. But it wasn't too much, okay? Yes, they might have had some tempo issues here and there, but it wasn't noticeable to the point when I had to dock them, okay? So you got to remember that as well, is that, I'm looking at everything, okay? So initially, I had to give this edge to Alabama State, okay? Now, also, what I would say is that there was some editing in this video, which I don't like. So I know next time I do a fifth quarter, it won't be from paparazzi. It won't be from paparazzi because there was one part when they was playing a song, I think that was their second song, and they cut that ending off. They just faded it out and pretended like nothing happened. I was like, hold the hell up. You know what I'm saying? So, I let them slide that first time, right? Then we get to the end. I hear them legitimately fading the audio. That wasn't the band. That was not the band. Okay? And you talking to a music producer who actually engineers music. So I know what I'm hearing. So there's some audio editing in this shit. Okay? So I just want to throw that out there. So I don't know what we got to do to correct that, but I'm just letting you know I did not like this shit. So I'm hoping for future references. Don't hide your mistakes. Let that be shown so y'all can do better. Because I could still hear those mistakes when they was fading out. And that's what he was initially trying to do. Fade it out so y'all wouldn't hear that bad note at the end. Yeah, I heard that shit. Just throwing that out there. Just throwing that out there. So, yes, I had to get this back to Alabama State. Alright? But I'm going to let y'all know this now. This won't be the last time you hear from me, FAMU. I got some more shit for y'all. I got a great job going against Albany. Okay? And that's going to be an interesting battle. Now, like in the SEEK, Albany's like top tier. So, y'all better come with y'all A game in that battle because, yeah, I'm coming with that pen. I'm going to let y'all know who's top tier in that battle now. Alright? Also, I will be grading the rest of y'all field shows as well. So, after I do that, that will go into y'all official record, and y'all can utilize that for y'all swag tier list. Okay? So, I got other bands I got to get to. After I do FAMU, I got to do Grambling, the Alabama A&M, and then we just get to the popular ones, the extra popular ones like Alabama State, Jackson State, and Southern. So, you notice that I got them close to the end because, hey, that's what people like to see. So I try to number my time with them because I know how people can be with them. So, but I wanted to get y'all out the way before them. All right, and FAMU, y'all are very popular. So just letting y'all know that now. Anytime I have these polls and y'all see that, I need y'all to vote. Okay, need y'all to vote. So y'all do that, man. So with that being said, I'm finna get up out of here, man. And like I tell y'all always, deuces.